Sparxie is going to be the best Elation DPS in Honkai Star Rail. Here's what you need to know. The new Elation Path is simple. When an Elation character is on the team, Aha will appear on the action order. When it's Aha's turn, every Elation character will do a special Elation skill, which will do more damage if they consume more punchline points, which Elation characters can get by simply using their skills and ultimates. And if there's no Elation unit that activates Aha for whatever reason, then Aha does damage itself. Now as of right now, typically Elation skills don't scale off of attack percentage or damage percentage bonuses. Similarly to super break skills, they simply scale off of the Elation stats, punchline points, and crits, and Aha's speed is based on every Elation character's speed, meaning that Aha will move faster in the action order if the Elation characters are faster. Anyways, for her kit, in short, she's the best Elation DPS who does powerful damage with her skill and the Elation skill. For her skill, it lets her spend up to 20 skill points and throw points, which are equivalent to skill points for Sparxie, so that she can have a random chance to receive some punchline stacks or skill points, and to enhance her basic attack to do a lot more damage. Here's how to save big when topping up for Honkai Star Rail's 4.0 banners. Lootbar.gg has a limited discount on the 6,480 Oneric Shards bundle, alongside a bunch of other discounts on different bundles, like the all-in-one bundle and the guaranteed bundles. They also have a 10% off for new users coupon and a 5% and a 3% off for returning users coupon. To save on your top-ups, click the loot bar link in the description. Choose a bundle, put your account information, then click top up now. Then select your payment method, add or use a coupon code, then click pay now. In a couple of minutes, your discounted bundle should arrive. Now lootbar.gg is trusted by creators like Jello Impact and Goba Certified, and that has a 4.9 rating on Trustpilot alongside a bunch of 5-star reviews. So if you want to save when topping up, go to lootbar.gg by clicking the link in the pinned comments or description. For her Elation skill, it also does a ton of damage, and it provides her with 2 throw points for her enhanced skill. And for her talents, it simply increases the damage dealt by her skill and ultimate after she gains a certified banger stack from using her Elation skill. Now she also has supportive capabilities that come from her major trace, which lets her increase Elice's crit damage by 8% for every punchline currently owned by up to 80%. Her other major trace is a lot more selfish though, since it increases her Elation stat by 5% for every 100 points of attack over 2000 attack by up to 80%, meaning that she's gonna want 3600 attack if she wants to fully capitalize on this major trace. For her other major trace, it provides more punchline points and more throw points with her ultimate based on how many Elation characters are on the team. It's a nice boost to her ultimate, since it originally only provides a measly 2 punchline points, but the throw point requirements will be a bit more difficult to reach. This is because you need a full team of Elation characters to achieve a noticeable difference in the throw points provided, but there's only 2 Elation characters for the time being. For her stats, she's gonna want 3600 attack to gain the most amount of Elation from her major trace. She's also gonna want a 1 to 2 crit rate to crit damage ratio, which means that you're gonna want 2% crit damage for every 1% crit rate you have. And because Sparxie already receives a ton of crit damage from her kits, relics, and ornaments, she's gonna want a ton of crit rate from other sources of stats, and she's gonna want 160 speed, because more speed allows every Elation character to do their Elation follow-up attack quicker. But because Sparxie typically wants a ton of attack percentage for her to reach her desired attack, running a 134 speed Sparxie will be fine. For her relics, she's gonna want the new Ever Glorious Magical Girl, because it provides a 16% crit damage bonus, and that allows the wearer to ignore 10% of the enemy's defense, and an additional 1% of the enemy's defense for every 5 punchline stacks that they have, up to 10%, resulting in a total of 20% defense ignore that is incredibly undiluted. She can also use the Whip Strider Captain because it provides a 16% crit damage bonus for its 2-piece bonus, and a 48% attack bonus for 1 turn when the wearer receives 2 targeted buffs. For her planners, she's gonna want the Tengoku Livestream because it provides a 60% crit damage bonus, and an additional 32% crit damage bonus if the wearer uses at least 3 skill points, which Sparxie can consistently do because she uses upwards to 20 skill points every time she uses her skill. She can also use the Banana Amusement set because it increases her crit damage by 16%, and by an additional 32% crit damage if the wearer has a Summoning or Memo Sprite, which the HPT can enable by making Sparxie his bondmate. She can also use the Rooted in Arena set since it provides a much needed 8% crit rate bonus and a 20% basic attack and skill damage bonus, which is where the majority of Sparxie's damage comes from. For her main stats, she's gonna want crit rate for her chest because she receives a ton of crit damage from other sources. bonuses. She's also gonna want attack percentage for her boots, fire damage bonus over attack percentage for her sphere, and ERR over attack percentage for her rope. For her substats, she's gonna want crit rates, then crit damage, then attack percentage. For her Lightcones, she's gonna want her signature because it provides a 48% crit damage bonus, which will contribute even more to her overabundance of crit damage, which will synergize with her overabundance of attack. It also increases the max amount of skill points by 1 for every Elation character on the team, which will allow her to consume more skill points when using her skill. It also lets her ignore 5% of the enemy's defense for every skill point she consumes in one turn, up to 20% of the enemy's defense, which will synergize really well with the magical girl sets, because the more defense shred and defense ignore that you stack, the more its damage increase rate increases. And the 4 or more skill points are consumed in one turn, she provides a team-wide 20% elation bonus, which will be incredible elation supportive stats. She can also use Eidolons' Lightcone because it provides an 18% speed boost and a 2% ERR boost. It also provides 15 energy every wave and a temporary 10% crit rate and 30% crit damage boost at the beginning of combat. She can also use the Today's Good Luck Lightcone because it provides a much needed 12% crit rate bonus and then up to 24% elation bonus after using her elation skill twice. She can also use the Mushy Shroomies' Adventure because it provides a 20% elation bonus and a 10% elation damage taken debuff. She can also use the Shearing because it provides a 32% elation bonus while using her elation skill. For another alternative, she can use the Lingering Tears to provide a 40% crit damage bonus once she gets 10 or more punchlines. For her teams, she's gonna want Yao Guang because she's the best elation support in the game. She provides a rare 20% elation bonus. She provides another rare 20% all-type breastman bonus that synergizes with the newly buffed Sparxie all-type breastman bonus, and she provides a ton of additional damage when an ally consumes a ton of skill points, which Sparxie does, and she provides a skill point every time she uses her elation skill. She's also gonna want the newly buffed Sparkle because she's able to provide a ton of crit damage, attack percentage, all-type breastpan, and damage style buffs. She's also able to advance an ally forward by 50%. She can increase the skill point max by 2, and she can provide a burst of 6 skill points when she uses her ultimate, and she can make it so that those excess skill points overflow up to 10 skill points. For an alternative support, she can use Trippy because she does a ton of sub DPS and provides a bunch of amplifying buffs. She can provide all-type breastpan and implant a damage style buffs on enemies. She can also do additional damage instances of damage when allies attack when she uses her ultimate, and she can do follow-up attacks when allies do ultimates after she uses her ultimate, and she can use the Triple D Lightcone to advance allies forward whenever she uses her ultimate. For an alternative support, you can use RMC, since they can advance an ally forward by 100%. They can also provide an extremely rare and undiluted true damage buff, and a decent crit damage buff. For her sustainers, Huohuo will be the best because she can provide a large attack percentage buff, and she can provide a ton of energy, which will allow Sparxie to do more damage and recover more throw points and punchline stacks. You can also use DHPT, since he can allow Sparxie to use the Banana Amusement Planner set, but be aware that this attack buff doesn't apply to Sparxie's talents, so he won't help with getting her more elation stats. Still, he can do a ton of sub DPS damage, especially because Danheng's Soul Dragon damage scales off of the bondmate's attack, which Sparxie is going to have a ton of. For her Eidolons, her E1 provides 5 punchlines after using her elation skill, and she provides 1.5% all-type breastpan for every punchline she has up to 15% all-type breastpan. This E1 will be pretty good, since a team-wide 15% all-type breastpan bonus is pretty rare, and it can stack with Yao Guang and the newly buffed Sparxie's all-type breastpan, so it'll increase her DPS by around 14%. For her E2, it provides her with 2 throw stacks and an extra turn after using her elation skill, and it provides her with a 10% crit damage bonus every time she consumes throw stacks, up to 40% crit damage, which will be a much better Eidolon for her personal DPS, since it'll increase her DPS by around 24%. For her E4, it provides her with 5 punchline and a 36% elation bonus for 3 turns after using her ultimate, which will actually be a pretty decent buff that'll increase her DPS by around 16%. For her E6, it increases her all-type breastpan by 20%, and it provides up to 40 more additional damage instances for every punchline she has when using her elation skill, which will be a non-pun intended, comically massive 144% increase to her DPS. For my investment recommendations, I recommend going for E2 S0 over E1 S1. This is because her S1 increases her DPS more than her E1, but her E2 increases her DPS by way more than either of them. So if you can afford to get her E2, that'll definitely be worth it over getting her E1 and S1. But if you can't afford her E2, then just get her S1. Now should you pull for Sparxie? why? Well, if you're interested in the Elation meta, which is very easy to get interested in, considering we can get a free and buffed Sparkle, well then yes, I definitely suggest pulling for who seems to be the best Elation DPS in the game. Anyways, that's all I've got for today. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Goodbye.